people are less interested in learning about the professional teacher and more about learning about the professional doer. Today we are gonna be talking about learning and self-education and my thoughts about school. For those of you who don't know me personally or haven't heard this from me yet, I dropped out of high school this past January. Remember, I am already 19 years old. Last podcast I was 18. Now I am 19 years old, and my thoughts on college will be on this podcast. I am still going to enter university on August. I just dropped out of conventional high school, if you want to name it that way. Let's get this thing started. Remember, please, before anything else, I am doing this completely for free. I am not running any ads in here. I am not having any sponsors to say about their products or whatever. This is free knowledge for you guys. So if you could just go onto the iTunes platform, go onto the Stitcher, wherever you're at, like this download, share it with your family, with your friends, with your associates, and please leave a review. The reviews help me to increase my ratings on every platform, and so that more entrepreneurs like you and myself can have access to this type of information in more countries, etc. They can just look up entrepreneurship, and we'll be at the top. That's the goal for this podcast, to start helping more and more people every single day. And now, just related to what I'm talking about, why do I want to help more people? Why do I want to generate a difference in your life and a change in your life for the better? Because I am convinced that self-education is a new norm. I am convinced and truly passionate about learning for yourself. I am convinced that traditional education is no longer a rule. It's no longer what will help you and get you there, or what will open you doors. For sure, maybe if you have a college degree, it might open you some doors. You will acquire knowledge for sure. I'm just not sure if it's the type of knowledge that will take you from where you are at right now until being successful and truly being fulfilled and happy. Yes, college is good because, you will meet lots of people, there will be lots of knowledge, but at the end of the day, what only works will be, the results will be your degree, not what GPA you have, or not anything your teachers used to say. Your results will be your degree, and your results will be your image, your representation, and will make the difference between you being successful and not. And the results come with experience, not with reading books. Because and you guys should answer this for me, please. Who has a better chance of becoming a really professional tennis player? He who has read thousands and dozens and tons of books, at least 15 books written by the best tennis players in the world, but doesn't even have a racket, but he has read. Or he who has never opened even a book, but has been grinding and training every single day to become better. Who has better odds to becoming a professional tennis player? I think that question answers by itself, but at the end of the day, it might seem obvious what I'm talking about here, but we still do it, and we're still trapped into a mindset of learning from people who hasn't been there, and many more things so I want to give this a little bit more structure. So first of all, I want to, before I continue talking about how school works and the mindset and what you can do to be different and drive yourself apart from the crowd, I want to tell you a bit of background of myself in school. So remember, I am still considered a high school student. I am 19 years old, barely 19 years old. And well, first of all, I was very lucky child, because I had the financial stability and ability from my family to go onto a private school here in Mexico. I don't know where you're listening from, but in Mexico, there's really a big difference between private and public schools. So it's a really competitive advantage at first, like on elementary school and kindergarten, being on a private school. So I had that fortune, and I got to meet lots of people. And the thing that I love the most about my school, about elementary and secondary school, was that I was in a school named TOT, or the Octree School, which I mean, the whole school, we were like 500 students. My group was of 20 or so people on secondary school, like 18 people on secondary school. So as you can imagine, it was a really personal attach to every single person, because I knew them all since I was 6 years old. Like those same people that I talked about on the last podcast, that I used to play violin when I was 6 years old, they were still my friends when I was about 15, 16 years old. So that's really amazing. And having the ability to be so close to my teachers was also really, really immersive in what my life was about to become. Because that way I was not just another number, I was not just another student. I didn't call my teachers sir or miss. I named them, like, if I were to raise my hand, I would call them by their name, by their first name. And even though it sounds silly, like, not many have that opportunity. Many are more straight, more, I don't know, more disciplined in that sense, and you don't get to have that those feelings attached with you, both your classmates and your teachers. So I was very lucky to have that, and what that made me see with the outside world, since I was on a really, really, really young age, was that there was no way for me to. I mean, even if I was a small child, there was no difference between me and an adult. There was no reason why an adult would not respect me or have sincere respect for me, for my age, or for my experience. I just knew that we were all the same, and that I deserved anything. Like, I mean, like I told you with the violin, like, I could do anything an adult could do, and that I could treat them as equals. There was no difference. There was always equality in our classes. And I really liked that. And once I jumped to the pond and I talked to you about going to Canada, I learned in a Canadian public school that you were to have your own freedom of what you wanted to learn. And that's something that I like a lot. Sorry for those who live in Canada, and sorry for those who live in the United States, or more advanced countries than Mexico, for example. But because you might be like really familiar with what I'm talking about. But hold on here, because what I learned different from my traditional education in my home country is that you have the choice to drive your education the way you want it to. So if I were to stay here on my first year of high school, and what I lived here,